Good morning. Today is October 1st. It is the first day of the government shutdown as a result of the Republicans who control the House, the Senate, and the White House failing to fund the government. I want to talk for a second about the frankly fantastically insulting rhetoric that we are hearing from Republicans around this shutdown. They think that we're all fucking stupid. They're trying to blame this on Democrats. Keep in mind, Democrats showed up at the Capitol 2 days in a row before government shutdowns, and Republicans were MIA. Republicans want to blame this on Democrats, but they're the ones in charge. They failed to effectively negotiate. They are failing to effectively govern because they have no intention of actually supporting the will and the best interest of their constituents. They have no interest in bipartisanship. Now, we know yesterday that John Fetterman and Angus King and Senator Cortez Masto broke with the Democrats and voted with the Republicans to keep funding the government. We knew Fetterman was going to do that. Cortez Masto said that it was about bipartisanship or some shit like that. Republicans have no interest in bipartisanship. They have an interest in fascism and in doing whatever Donald Trump wants. They don't have any interest in defending democracy. They don't have any interest in legitimately governing. There is no bipartisanship to be had here. Actually, before I keep ranting, Hope Walls said it better than I could, so.
It never fails to amaze me the goalposts these people move in order to justify complete and utter stupidity and incompetence. There are still people in my comments saying, you need 60 votes in the Senate, and they only have 52. I don't even think it's worth it anymore to argue with people that don't know how anything works, because that is called governing. That is called governing. You cannot expect people to vote on an extremely harmful bill and not have them or their constituents get anything out of it. You compromise, you negotiate, you govern. You govern. That is called governing. That is their job. At the end of the day, they hold all three branches of government, and it is on them if the government shuts down.
Went on to say, you don't get to have that argument because it's invalid. I would have been like, that's utter, complete, and total bullshit. But she's right. Invalid. It is an invalid argument to say that Democrats are responsible for the government shutdown when Republicans control both houses and the White House. Lest we not forget, when we had a government shutdown last time, Donald Trump was actually interviewed about this, and he blamed Barack Obama. He said it is the president who is responsible when you have a government shutdown. I don't hear him or the Republicans saying it this time, though. Donald Trump is now president, and suddenly the goalposts have moved. Suddenly the blame is shifted onto those who don't actually have the control. Republicans needed 7, 8, 9 votes from Democrats. And they should have put forward a continuing resolution that wasn't actively harmful to the constituents of those Democratic senators. I completely agree with Hope. You cannot expect Democrats to vote for something that is going to actively harm their constituents. That would be Democrats abdicating their duty, just like all the Republicans have been doing, because the Medicaid cuts, the cuts to the Affordable Care Act, the closing of hundreds of hospitals around the country, that is bad for every state in this country. It's worse for red states. More hospitals in red states, more clinics in red states will be closing because of what Republicans in Congress have done. Now, I'm pleasantly surprised that virtually every Democrat, except for John Fetterman, who is an utter disappointment, he's a known quantity, Senator Angus King from Maine, and Senator Cortez Masto. I don't know what she was doing, y'all. I don't know. If you're one of her constituents, you might want to ask her. All of the other Democrats listened to their constituents. They listened to us. They absolutely showed up for democracy, for the rule of law, for our health care. They showed up to govern and do their job, which is to advocate for their constituents. Republicans who failed to come and compromise. It is Republicans who have abandoned bipartisanship and democracy in the name of threats, bullying, intimidation, and outright authoritarianism. But getting back to what I was saying at the beginning of this video, Republicans are insulting our intelligence. They think that we're real fucking stupid. And it's not just Republicans who are phrasing this as like, Democrats shut down the government because we, the Republicans, wouldn't let them give free healthcare to woke, trans, furry, illegal aliens. That's literally the shit that they're saying. And they expect us to believe it. Undocumented immigrants have never been able to get Medicaid in this country. They pay taxes, billions and billions of dollars a year in taxes. Undocumented immigrants cannot get Medicaid. That's never been a thing. And it's not just Republicans with these asinine talking points. It's also members of the corporate legacy media, which is now state-controlled media, the propaganda arm of the regime. Democrats are getting fed up with it.
Why is free healthcare for illegal aliens seemingly the hill you guys are willing to die on?
One, the premise of your question is factually wrong. And I would urge you to actually look at the law, which prohibits any undocumented person from receiving any kind of health care benefits. That is the law. If the Trump administration is not enforcing the law, then I would ask the president. And I also say the president has made repeatedly clear, and this, I don't know how I often agree with Donald Trump, but on this one, he's 100% right when he said repeatedly, years back when he was not in office, if you got a government shutdown, it's the president's job to resolve that.
Right. If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the president of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together.
Well, you got a president of the United States, you got a Republican-controlled House, you got a Republican-controlled Senate. Let's get this fixed. Nobody.
Yep, that's precisely what I said. I don't know who that reporter was. I'm assuming she's from Fox News, but maybe not. This is Trump's shutdown. This is the Republicans' shutdown. This is their fault. And they're trying to obscure that reality by dropping a bunch of words that they think are inflammatory, like trans, illegal, hoping to distract people from the reality that the Republicans are taking away healthcare from tens of millions of Americans and shutting hospitals and clinics around the country so that billionaires can get a giant tax break. The party of fiscal responsibility is also ballooning the debt trillions of dollars to do that. Republicans own this, and I'm pleased to see Democrats understanding the assignment of communicating that reality to the American people. And I think us regular everyday folks, we've got to keep communicating to the people in our lives, our friends and family who are independents, who are Republicans, who are hearing propaganda. We get now to be in a position where we are correcting that misinformation, that disinformation. We are setting the record straight. I think it's very important that we tell our friends and family the Republicans are not only lying to you, they are insulting you. They think you are so fucking dumb that they can pull the wool over your eyes. They can throw a couple of phrases at you and you will just melt down and let them get away with all of their terrible, awful bullshit. They think you are too stupid to understand what is happening. Donald Trump has already repeatedly called MAGA stupid this year. He says he loves the uneducated. And I think we've got to keep reminding Republicans, independents, everybody that we know. Republicans are a party that has disdain for their own voters. They think their own constituents are fools, easily led and easily misled. Why would we want people governing us who insult our intelligence and attempt to deceive us on a regular basis? I'm just going to leave you here with a little bit of this clip from B. That's also my kid's name. She's a college student, and I feel like she's had so many good takes. Her perspective on this is very similar to mine. Perhaps she's reaching a different demographic as a Gen Z person. Because like Gen Z Republicans, y'all are watching a bunch of old farts in the White House and in the Senate and in Congress who think that you are stupid and easy to deceive. How does that make you feel? Okay, let me leave you with a little bit of her clip. And then go give her a follow. I thought her video about going to see Kamala Harris was excellent. By the way, you should watch it.
These Republican politicians believe that you are stupid. They think you are stupid enough to buy the idea that a government, a federal government that is completely controlled unilaterally by the Republican Party, is going to shut down because of Democrats. J.D. Vance the other day goes out on television in front of the White House with all these starchy collared, big money Republicans standing behind him and says, well, Democrats are triggering a shutdown because they want health care for transgender illegal aliens. Are you fucking kidding me? Every single sentence, it's a noun, a verb, and transgender illegal aliens. Get a new routine, diva. Change your costume, JD. Change it around. And he expects people to buy that? He thinks we have so little sense that we're just going to be like, oh, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds correct.